So what we're doing, we're putting water, okay, because the wood, it has pores in it, especially the poplar. They say it's hardwood, but it's kind of soft. So we put this, it's just water, and then I'm gonna come back with a rag and just wipe it off. And just water. So this is gonna make the wood kind of like expand, because the wood has the pores in it and it's gonna soak it up a little bit, and it's kind of gonna want to expand. Once it expands, I'm gonna sand it, and then I'll put the pre-stain on it. Okay, so I took the drawers out of the cabinets. I'm just gonna lay them there. I'm gonna give them a good sand. First, I'm gonna start with the back. This is a 220 grit sandpaper. So I'm gonna give them a good sand. I'm also gonna sand these a little bit. Okay, so we're done sanding. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna get a cloth and just make sure I wipe any of the little dust. I lightly sanded it so it don't have much. It was already pre-sanded. So I'm just gonna make sure there's no dust particles on here, and then we'll proceed with the pre-stain. So we're gonna be using this water-based Behr premium wood conditioner. Prepares wood for water-based staining, helps prevent streaks and blotches. Okay, so it gives you instructions on how to do it. So mainly it helps the stain go on smooth. Okay, so I made sure there was no dust. So the wood stain, or the wood pre-stain conditioner, helps the stain go on smoothly. So these door cabinets, part of them are poplar, as y'all can see. It's poplar, and part of it is pine or oak. I'm not sure what that in the middle is, but this is poplar. So we're gonna apply. I just cut up an old t-shirt, cotton t-shirt. I made sure that there wasn't any dust particles from the sanding. You don't want any dust on this, so make sure it's clean. And we're gonna apply the pre-stain. So this is water-based, so we're gonna stir it. Okay, so it dries in 20 minutes. So read the directions on there. Okay. So it dries in 20 minutes, so we're gonna apply it. Let it soak a little bit. Just gonna apply it like that. So it says to apply liberally. So that's what we're gonna do. It also says after you apply it that you might wanna re-sand it. That's what we're gonna do with all of them. On the front and on the back side. Okay, so we allowed the pre-stain to dry 25 minutes. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna fill it. See if there's any sanding that needs to take place. So this will make the grain raise a little bit. So I got a very fine sandpaper. I think it's like 300 grit. Lightly go over it. Hardly anything without any pressure. I'm gonna sand with the grain. Now it's smooth, very smooth. Yep, very smooth. So I'm gonna fill some of the other ones and then I'll lightly sand it, very lightly. Then I'm gonna get a rag and go over it and make sure there's no dust. Now we're gonna apply the stain. So this is also a water-based stain and it's a special walnut color. So fast drying. It says, read the instructions. It says, allow 2 to 3 minutes to penetrate to achieve the desired color. Do not allow it to sit there for a long period. And it also says that you can apply a second coat after 1 hour, or you can apply the finish after an hour. So it depends on the humidity, temperature, etc. But you can apply a second coat or the finish after 1 hour. Okay. So we got the stain brush here. It's for water based. So I'm doing everything water based. You can also do it oil based. but it'll take a longer time for it to dry. So the pre-stain was water-based, and the stain's gonna be water-based. So I'm gonna give it a stir. It's a little gunky on the bottom. So I'm gonna stir it. And then I'm gonna apply it with a brush, and I'm gonna wipe the excess with a cloth. So that's what the directions say to do. Okay. So I'm just gonna stir it here for a little while. So we're gonna allow it to penetrate the bristles. So there's some bristles that are kind of sticking out. I'm gonna have to cut those off. Okay, so I'll cut the extra bristles off. Now we're gonna go with the grain. So we're doing the back side first. So you want to do it in long strokes. So all the way down. Okay, so after it's applied, you're gonna get a cloth, start wiping it off. You want to wipe everything off the surface. You don't want to leave anything on the surface. You're going to wipe it dry. Okay, so we stained all the cabinets and the drawers over there as well. In that section. So we're going to, it's already been over an hour. It's probably been like 2 hours or so. So I'm gonna lightly see if it needs a little sanding. So I'm gonna lightly sand possibly, and then I'm gonna finish it with lacquer. So this one says 30 minutes to dry. Of course, we're gonna read the instructions. Do not shake, stir. Okay. Okay, so I did wind up sanding it with this. I left it really, really smooth. I'm not pressing hard on it. I'm just letting the block just sand it. Very, very smooth. This also. Okay. I'm gonna take a rag, just wipe off any excess dust. And then I'm gonna apply the lacquer finish. Okay, so we've let them dry. Today we're gonna be using lacquer, satin, and it says allow to dry 2 hours and then recoat. So if you let it dry more than 6 hours, then you gotta lightly sand with a 220 grit sandpaper before recording or recoating. Sorry. Okay. It says don't shake, so stir. So we're going to be applying this with a brush. Okay. So I got this brush. It's a stain brush for oil base. So I'm going to be using that. I'm going to go over it this way. Then, so you want to go with a grain. Okay. Then I'm going to let it sit there for about 10-15 minutes, and then I'm going to wipe off any excess. So we're gonna let it sit there. So here's the first pass of it. So it looks like it's drying fairly quickly. We're gonna let everything dry. And then we'll reapply a second coat. I might sand it depending on how the grain feels. If it lifted the grain a little, I'll resand it. So we need to wipe off all the dust. So there's like a little layer of dust, and that's the lacquer. So after we clean them good, we're gonna apply a second layer. So this feels really smooth to the touch. Very, very smooth. So we're going to be putting on a second coat of lacquer. Make sure you have your PPE on, your gloves, your respirator. We're going to apply the second coat the same as we did the first coat. Very lightly. This dries pretty quickly, so we're going to want to move kind of fast. Okay. We're also going to go around the edges, all the way around the edge. Okay, so we applied the second coat on these. We're going to let them dry for at least 2 hours. And we're going to be resanding lightly again after that. Okay, so it's been about 3 hours. And the second coat is pretty dry. So I got this very fine 400 grit. You don't have to go that high. You can go 220 or 180 is what I've seen other people do, but I'm gonna do the 400 and just lightly sand it to get that smooth finish. Because after you put the brush on lacquer, it still has just a little, you can barely feel it, but it has like little spots here and there. So I'm gonna sand it with this. After you lightly sand it, it's very smooth. All right, so we're done. We already put the cabinets back on. We gave them the final sand, and this is how they turned out. That's how we wanted them, the color and everything, so they turned out very, very good. And this is how they look with the handles and the knobs already on them. So they look very nice. They're very smooth. Overall, they came out very good. Okay, so here we also added a butcher block on top to the cabinets. Overall, we're very happy with how they looked, how they turned out. I will say that this project does require time and patience. But overall, if you do it, correctly, the right way with patience, it turns out very, very nice. So we're really happy with how they turned out. And we're gonna move on to doing the floor and a few other stuff that are left here. But thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and give me a thumbs up.